those excellent remarks, Bill. We've been waiting to hear from you, and the young people have some questions. They've loved your speech. Great insights about innovation, the role they can play. And the first question I have is from a virtual participant, and I'm going to read it out, from Dr. Mariam Aidara, founder and president of the Joliba Institute. And she's asked, how can philanthropy play a unique and strategic role in addressing malnutrition across Africa, driving sustainable development, and helping the continent unlock its full potential?
Well, I'm a huge advocate for more philanthropy. In fact, later tonight I'll meet with a lot of the top philanthropists here in Nigeria and talk about the great work they're doing and how we can work together more. Philanthropy is sometimes unique in that it can fund the research, and it can recruit the great scientists. So in a lot of this understanding about the microbiome, the gut, the bacteria that live in your gut, were Gates Foundation research studies done in many locations throughout Africa. Recent ideas, last time I was here, I went down to a hospital and saw where a lot of pregnant mothers are anemic, and we ran a pilot to show that you could do a single infusion and cure their anemia. And so, we're great doctors here, but we funded that. Eventually the implementation, the government has to play a very strong role in that. Philanthropy can help with those startup costs, really prove out the models. Philanthropy can do things like, we made a huge volume commitment to buy these MMS vitamins. And so the manufacturer saw that, okay, if they're going to be able to make millions, then they should commit to do it at a much lower price. So philanthropy often is kind of innovative. It can do things like research that take 10 or 15 years, where politicians, they're not generally elected for 10 or 15 years. So some of the longer term things, one that we're working on, it's not nutrition, but it'll probably be 15 years work before we get there, is having a cure for sickle cell. And that's something that only philanthropy, took on, this idea of having a very low cost cure. We have a super expensive cure, but not low cost. So, philanthropy helps push things forward and helps the government design the programs. Then when you want to get out to everyone, okay, then that's when the social safety net, the government really needs to come in. And some regulations, things like, okay, food fortification, making sure that the manufacturers are putting the iodine and the salt or the vitamin A in the cooking oil. That's up to the government, where the philanthropies have helped prove that that's valuable and help come up with ways of doing it at very low cost.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent example that the Gates Foundation has set, investing and then letting others take it to the next level. And that's an invitation for many of our philanthropists to do the same. We have a second question from a student who is in person. Aisha Aliyu, a public health student from Nile University. Please approach the mic and ask your question. Let's give her a round of applause, yes.
Right.
You've got this, go.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha Aliyu, and as a student of Nile University, I am concerned about the coexistence of undernutrition and overnutrition in Nigeria, both of which are forms of malnutrition actually. So what comprehensive strategies do you think international organizations and African governments implement to address the entire spectrum of malnutrition in Nigeria in a way that will fit Nigeria's unique cultural, social, and economic context?
Thank you so much, Aisha.
Yeah, so you're probably aware that strangely the world is suffering from both overnutrition and undernutrition. Particularly in places like the United States, where we still have some malnutrition, but very little. We have overnutrition. And so this idea of healthy diets, which fast foods are really bad for you. You know, how do you control sugar? How do you control salt? I would say 20 years ago, not much was understood about that. Now, I'd say we're about halfway to understanding both malnutrition and overnutrition. And so dietary advice, in a place like Nigeria, there's some people who need to avoid overnutrition and some people who need to avoid undernutrition. And, it's really, one of the groups I saw today is a World Bank program called Nigeria for Women, where they're doing women's groups and trying to scale up women's groups. And part of the beauty of those groups is that's a great opportunity for mothers to share best practices about feeding. How do you make sure in those key years, which are the first 5 years, that the diet is completely appropriate? Part of that is getting protein into the diet, which there's a huge number of ways to do that. But a lot of kids who are undernourished, they're missing specific vitamins. Unfortunately, that's in fairly small amounts, so that's often easy to fix if it's recognized. Or they're not getting enough protein, and that's where things like milk and eggs and making those way lower cost, way more available, come into allowing mothers to provide the very best diet.
I love the term that I think you've alluded to with your remarks, food is medicine. And it's a really powerful thought that you've just shared about what we put in affects our health. Now we have a question from Chinanye Uwaka, a lawyer and goalkeeper. Chinanye, please approach the mic.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to you for all the work you do for the continent and also young people. My name is Chineye Uwanaka. I'm a lawyer. I like to call myself a nation builder, and I'm a proud goalkeeper. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So my question is, what role can young people play in leading this fight against malnutrition? Secondly, how can they leverage innovation and science-based technology to fight malnutrition in their local communities? Thank you.
Well, part of the incredible strength of Nigeria is it's a very young country, and so who are the voters? Who are the people who are going to set the policies in the future? It's people your age or even people who are younger. And so really, how do you deal with the inequality, which I think, not getting vaccinated or having malnutrition is kind of the worst type of inequality. What are the policies that you get the right programs to even the most remote parts of the country or even the lowest income parts of the country, and have the capacity there to make sure that both the ingredients, the food is available, and the understanding of how to act on those things. There's certainly a lot of things you can do in terms of what career you pick, but also either by giving donations or volunteering time. There's a lot of non-governmental organizations that speak out about these issues. It's fortunate that people care, and it's so important to the future of the country. Kind of the magic combination is that you're well-nourished and healthy, and then you have an opportunity to have a great education. And those two things, they really go together. If you're healthy, then you can thrive in your education. The Goalkeepers program was, where we recognize people who are working on equity-related issues. I think the nonprofit sector in Nigeria is growing quite a bit. We want to help foster a lot of that and make sure that health issues are not the only issues, but they're part of the issues that your voice is telling the politicians, hey, money is very scarce, but these are things that we care about and should be prioritized because they really enable the future for the country.
Thank you, Bill. Our last question for this segment comes from Eva Bauer, Project Manager for the West Africa Fortified Parboiled Unpolished Rice Project. Eva, please come to the mic.
Hello everyone, I'm Eva Bauer, Project Manager for the West African Fortified Parboiled Unpolished Rice Project at TechnoServe. And my question is, so Nigeria faces significant challenges with adequate funding for large-scale public health and nutrition interventions. So what creative financing mechanisms could the Nigerian government adopt, as well as other relevant organizations, towards funding large-scale public health interventions? And also, how can we get the private sector more involved in these efforts? Thank you.
Yeah, one part that I'm optimistic about is an area that TechnoServe works in, which is in agriculture. You know, Nigeria today is a net food importer, and yet, you know, given the geography, if the right, you know, credit facilities and advice to farmers, you know, soil surveys, things are available, and there's the opportunity for Nigeria to more than double its food output, which would be pretty transformative because it would mean that you'd be a net food exporter, you know, and so instead of having to use very scarce dollars, particularly at the current exchange rate, to go buy food, you're actually, you know, bringing dollars in. And particularly agricultural productivity is important for the incomes in the rural, more northern areas. And so really embracing digital approaches, better seeds, to get these kind of an agricultural miracle to take place, that's going to help the country in terms of equity, in terms of women, and in terms of these nutrition issues. The other piece, the health piece, and it will have to be a priority. Over time, there are plans for Nigeria to fund the government more than it does today. The actual tax collection in Nigeria is actually pretty low. And so, you know, if the citizens want the education and the health things, as they develop the confidence that these programs can be very well run, and, you know, our foundation's involved with a lot of the exemplars, you know, that are showing the way in terms of making sure that the money is spent really well, you know, running a very efficient primary health care system where, you know, the employees are doing great work, the centers are where they should be, you know, you don't have underloaded centers or overloaded centers. And so you know, there's, I think it's exciting that we're driving you know, the credibility of those health programs, and so that the citizens will feel like, yes, primary health care is amongst the priorities that should be very funded as you get some fiscal flexibility. And, you know, of course, you can learn from many other countries and adopt different best practices.
Thank you, Bill. I think that's a fantastic response. And I love how you painted the picture of the possibilities, that we can feed ourselves, nourish ourselves and the world if we make the right choices, the right investments, and put our people first. Now, in your opening remarks, you said you have been traveling with a friend. And we are so excited to meet this amazing friend of yours. And we have a short clip to introduce him before he comes on stage.
Jon, you're welcome.
How did
did you learn to run a business? The entrepreneurial skill is impressive to me.
I'm a member of this fellow WAG. My own success story is from grass to grace. This WAG has really changed my life.
Welcome, sir.
Yes, it's great to be here.
I love you sitting. Sit down. Yeah. Thank you.
How many children, on average, do you see that are malnourished?
There are not much. I have not seen the red or yellow because I live in the community.
That's amazing. Yeah.
70% of my grant funding comes from the Gates Foundation.
Oh, wow. Let's take a picture.
Long time running,
But I know
change gonna come.
Oh, yes, it will.
Hey!
I just jammed in my croaky voice with Jon Batiste.
That's beautiful.
Thank you
sound
for that.
amazing.
Jon, please join us on stage. So you guys, I want to introduce him properly because he's been in Nigeria for 1 week. He now has some Nigerian names. So Yorubas have named him Wale. The king has returned. So he is Jon Wale. And then we have named him Obi because he performs with his heart. He serves with his heart. So Jon Wale Obi Batiste is on stage. Please give him a round of applause. Welcome, Jon. We're so happy to have you.
Yes,
So you've
indeed.
spent about a week traveling around the country. Tell
Yes.
me, what's been your impression? What do you think?
Oh, well, the food, the people, the music, the expression of humanity, and the grand potential is staggering. There's so much that can happen. There's so many flickers of light that if we collectively commit to around the world, it can become a huge bonfire. And it's a moral imperative that we care about what's going on this continent. And it's a moral imperative that we focus on our brothers and sisters around the world. And central to understanding what the future is understanding what's possible here in Nigeria.
I love it. That's so true. And you know, as you were talking, I thought about some of the people who have encountered you on the field. And you said something to me earlier today. You wanted to see the lives of the real.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn from them?
Yeah, people are soulful here. Reminded me back home in New Orleans where you meet people and they have a certain dignity about them and they do a lot with just a little bit. People have the pride of home and the pride of culture. You know, speaking with Dr. Bosade Afolabi, she left and studied and could be anywhere in the world practicing. She decided to take her craft and her expertise and come back home. The dignity and the pride of home to really know that, oh, I can do this, but I'm going to decide to do that is truly remarkable. And that's something that I will always bet on the Nigerian people because I see a lot of folks like that. Divine Mercy, she's also like that.
Thank you for betting on the Nigerian people. Now, this is a session on nutrition, so I have to ask you about food. And you mentioned food already. but
Yeah,
what's your
Flavor
favorite dish?
City.
So what's been your favorite dish so far? What are you going to
Jollof rice.
Jollof rice. And I know there's some Ghanaians and Senegalese online, but
Yes.
you know ours is the best.
See, I don't want to get into all of that. I just know that it was amazing. And that's, you know, again, being from New Orleans, it's hard to impress us with food. We haven't had a bad meal. I feel like I've been here, you know, it's been 10 days, it feels like a month. It just feels like so much has happened. The flavors you feel when you eat, it's visceral. The music that I've been able to play, I've made music with people. I probably have half of my next album already. Just the range of experience is so synthesized. There's so much in every moment. And, you know, I believe music is a spiritual practice. And I believe music has this ability to do something that's greater than just entertainment. And that's why I feel called to be here. I don't even know what the future holds, but I'm just grateful to Mr. Gates and the foundation for inviting me, and I'm grateful to have met and being able to share this moment with all of you.
Thank you, John. Now, Bill, you keep coming back, and we're grateful for that. And you were here last year, you returned again. So what has stood out most during this visit? And what are some of your surprises? What are some of your learnings? And what are you most excited about?
Yeah, it's great that over the years we've been working here, we've developed a lot of long-term partners. One of the people I worked with in Nigeria for literally decades is Dr. Pate, who's now the Minister of Health. So it's great to have him in that very important position. I think, the president, reaching out to Dr. Pate and getting him to come showed that, even in times when, expenditures all have to be looked at very carefully, health is going to be something important. We can adopt a lot of innovations. It's great, we're sitting and talking about, okay, what is the next phase in primary health care? How do we take these new ideas like our understandings of nutrition or things to solve anemia? We have a fantastic way that was tested here in Nigeria where after a woman delivers, making sure that the bleeding doesn't get out of control. And it's actually a very inexpensive type intervention. And so, there's a lot of progress. There's some frustration, things aren't happening faster, but, young people help us by feeling that way. It's great, to sit with partners and talking about what role we can play in helping out. We've worked on polio here in Nigeria, and, we achieved an unbelievable success in terms of getting rid of wild polio. Now we have another form of it that is still here. So I was meeting with the traditional leaders who, in some ways you might consider them unlikely partners for us. But, from the very beginning, I went up and saw the Sultan of Sokoto, and he's rallied a lot of the leaders to help us. And they play a key role in making sure parents know that vaccination really is not just safe, but the way to make sure your child stays healthy, doesn't get measles, doesn't get paralyzed by polio. So we're renewing our engagement with our key partners and, talking about how we deal with all the challenges and yet, tap into the incredible potential of the younger generation here.
Thank you. And one last question. I'm going to pose that to both of you. You talked about Dr. Falabi, who is phenomenal. But through my work across Africa, and especially in Nigeria, there's something called Japa. Have you heard of the Japa syndrome? We're losing many of our Nigerian youth to greener pastures. They feel like they have to leave the country because they don't have hope. I'm sure none of them sitting in this room are applying for their visas. I know all of them want to stay. All of them want to stay and be the next Dr. Falabi. But what would you say to them, to give them hope about their role in the future of Nigeria and their role in this fight for a more nutritious, healthy, vibrant nation and continent that's built on these great ideas and innovations from young people? So I'll start with you, Jon.
Well, I think that every time you contribute and give back to where you're from, the result is something that's beyond a monetary value. That's something that is unquantifiable. There's a legacy that you can have that sets you apart from deciding to pursue something else. Now, everybody must do what's right for them. So, and everyone who is here, I'm sure, has so many things that they want to do and offer the world. And things move in life in seasons. I would encourage you to dedicate a season of your life to being here and being back home.
You know, I'd say that, you know, a lot of people can go and gain experience, education elsewhere, and then come back. You know, remittances to Nigeria are a very helpful thing. You know, so that's your brethren who are abroad, sharing in whatever success they have over there. And then a lot of them will come back. If you look at the success of countries like China and India, there was a period of time where it was almost all people going to from China to the U.S. or India to the U.S. Now, they've been very well trained. They're amazing. Some stay, but a lot go back. So for Microsoft, we built a huge lab in India because our great Indian employees were going back to India, and we had to take advantage of that. So, it's great for people who want to get involved in equity type things here in the country. It's great, to use your voice about how you think the government should be more efficient or do a better job. So the level of contribution, the opportunity to take this country, which today has potential that's so unrealized, and the difference of the choices that are made in the next 5 years, I'll say, okay, is that potential 50 years from now, or is it, 15 years from now? We have a great team here led by Uche, who came back to help out. And so they're helping us understand and connect with our partners here. And, so I'd say, a key thing I would say is, yes, there are huge challenges, but having the attitude to see how you meet those challenges, that's how you make a contribution.
Thank you. Now, I can't have them leave without asking. We have two geniuses on stage, as you know. We have a musical genius, and I'm going to ask him to bless us with just a closing, either something on your instrument or something from your voice, to inspire these young people to become the nutrition champions that we know they can be. It's been a heavy session, right? Lots of challenges, but lots of opportunities. Right? Can I hear, while he gets ready, can I hear some words from you? From this side, one word you're taking away. Shout it out. This is your moment. Stand up and shout out the word. Oh, yeah? Your health starts with your plate, yes? Food, yes? Inclusivity. Diet is the best medicine. One from this side, quickly.
Food is medicine.
Food is medicine. Yeah. Over to you, Jon.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for your commitment to Nigeria. Thank you for your commitment to Africa. Thank you to our online audience. And one last request, you guys rise. I want all of us to say, I am a nutrition champion. One more time, I am a nutrition champion. And then let's give the loudest round of applause to our dear guests, our fantastic speakers, and our online audience.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you so much.